Alright, just to properly set expectations here, this video is a broad strokes overview of the most recent developments in the whole downfall of MrBeast drama, but it's also an attempt at self-awareness during a viewership bubble that I myself am participating in actively, which could very well affect me. Beyond that, it's probably going to affect everyone on the platform, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Straight up, not wasting time, there's way too much stuff out there now for some sort of total recap situation, and I'd be willing to bet that most people watching this already have some sort of cursory knowledge of what's been happening, which I'm going to have to rely on pretty heavily here. But this is the lightning fast overview. Mr. Beast had a team member who was being inappropriate with minors, Ava Chris Tyson, which became widespread commentary drama in the community. At the same time, an ex-employee alleged that he was rigging game shows and running illegal lotteries, which blew up as well. And in the background, this new $100 million Amazon game show that Mr. Beast is running, called the Beast Games, was allegedly filled with safety violations, injuries, and mismanagement. It's a trifecta of situations boiling over all at once around him, but then another ex-employee came out discussing what I would refer to as abusive conditions during the process of filming a video about him, and it came to light that Mr. Beast allegedly, according to a former team member named Jake the Viking in his testimony, knowingly hired a registered sex offender to work at the company, proceeding to hide his identity during at least one challenge video with a mask and an alias. Basically, it's all crashing down around him, while he frantically deletes anything he can find that pertains to these illegal lotteries across Facebook as well as multiple YouTube channels. But the stuff that's new is interesting enough to be worth covering, while at the same time acknowledging that this entire situation may be outright damaging to the platform as a whole. I'll just jump in. The place to start for me, which has been covered before, but this is just my take on it, is the leaked, air quotes there, internal email from Mr. Beast directly, which outlines a number of steps they're taking after the firm Quinn Emanuel expanded the scope of their internal investigation to include company culture and inappropriate behavior. Just to rip the band-aid off, there is not a single shred of me that believes this email was leaked accidentally. It absolutely reeks of a PR move, and it's the type of thing I can imagine them doing to try and subdue the overwhelming tidal wave of criticism that they're getting and will continue to get until the final allegations of covering up sexual assault come out. By the way, just to put this out there as well, it is my wholehearted belief that those allegations will eventually hit the YouTube ecosystem, sooner rather than later. It's just a matter of when. I don't want to read this and quote all of it because it's garbage, but after enlisting the help of a law firm to do an internal investigation and then expanding the scope of that investigation to the more current allegations of misconduct and damaging company culture, after doing that, Mr. Beast says, quote, "I have enough preliminary information at this point that I am announcing several changes today," end quote. Yeah, that seems to me like they know it's bad. The law firm knows it's bad. The PR expert that they hired knows it's bad. And this is even more obvious when you look at a message that just recently got sent to Dogpack404, who is the first ex-employee to speak out about all of the illegal lotteries and company culture problems, which, oh my gosh, it makes it even worse. After reaching out to an employee named Chucky, who attempted to debunk the allegations early on and sort of just threw gasoline on everything, 2 weeks after Dogpack404 reached out, Chucky responded, quote, "Hey, the company takes these claims extremely seriously. This is Stephanie. She works at Quinn Emanuel, the company we hired to do an independent investigation, and she asked if you could send over anything to help with the investigation," end quote. Yeah, this is, I don't know. I don't have much to add right now in terms of technical analysis or investigation. The stuff I do know is not for publication right now, but this just absolutely reeks, in my opinion. This does not feel genuine. And just to demonstrate why I'm saying that, Stephanie, in this context, probably refers to Stephanie Kellerman, who can be found right on the Quinn Emanuel attorney page of their website. And her bio section reads, quote, "Outside the courtroom, her representation of numerous public figures has included strategies to manage press fallout in the context of ongoing litigation," end quote. These are litigation attorneys. And right now, as far as I'm aware, or most other people are aware that I've talked to, there's no litigation. So I would guess that she's participating here in some sort of outside the courtroom capacity. Therefore, fill in the blanks. This doesn't feel like a situation where the company, Quinn Emanuel, the law firm, has been hired to do some sort of real internal investigation. In my opinion, this feels like a massive PR spend and a decisive effort to buckle down before things get way worse, because in my opinion, they understand full well that things will get worse. The shit they did, the ways that they ran that company are coming through the cracks now. And this feels like someone finally had an open and honest conversation with their legal team about what could theoretically come out if people break all their NDAs. And the lawyer said, "Dear God, what have you done? We need to try and figure out which of the bombs is about to explode next. Anyway, it's a disaster for the MrBeast media empire, but it's also a feeding frenzy on YouTube as a platform. Some of you might even look at me as one of the parties responsible for that. I've done, 6 videos now, including this one. That's more than I cover most controversies. I mean, some of them I do like 14 videos. That does happen. But this is big. And for an example of why I'm saying that, look at this guy. To be clear, I have no idea what happened with this particular situation beyond the explanation he gives publicly, but just look at the overall picture. This guy comes out and says that MrBeast flew him out there to work for a few days, stole his ideas, and then made a video with those stolen ideas. He has some snappy editing, he seems genuinely upset about all this, but at the end of the video, he talks about making a part 2, which he's definitely gonna do, and then he links a GoFundMe that was originally set for, I believe, $1.7 million. He raised something like $400 to $500 right away and then shut down donations, but this is really on the nose when it comes to capitalizing on a situation for personal benefit. He even said somewhere in that video, who benefits from this, me or MrBeast? Hint, it ain't me. But then half a second later, he links a GoFundMe campaign. Is it ironic? Is it a troll? Either way, it has 2.3 million views and climbing. And I honestly don't know what the point was, but it's basically impossible for me to think of a more obvious example here when it comes to the idea of a content gold rush. Maybe the closest I can think of would be a creator named Suzy Liu, who got widely criticized by the commentary community for a while, back when she was streaming whole anime episodes with very little reaction. And then she would freak out at anyone who commented about it. She was objectively wrong there, so it made sense, but it was a similar situation where even just commenting about it would rack up tons of views really quickly, which contributed to this self-perpetuating atmosphere where every time someone said something, she would do something else, so people would say more, so she would do more over and over and over again. That's what I see with MrBeast, as I actively participate in it myself. It's just the scale is off the charts compared to back then, and the cycle isn't even stagnating yet. Also, I want to go on a tangent here and address a video made by Legal Eagle, because in my opinion, he totally mischaracterized my content in a way that feels either deliberate or incompetent. I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh there, but it feels really off. Legal Eagle did this video, MrBeast Illegal Lotteries, Rigging, and NDAs, where he does a completely out-of-date overview on the situation, well and truly after much more information has come out, but high production value takes time, and he has a whole apparatus around him, so probably not his fault. What annoyed me is that he seems to have decided he wanted to call me wrong, or maybe he just wanted to call someone wrong in his video to make himself seem like a greater authority and I fit the bill this time, but instead of doing it for valid reasons, he just made one up. He says at one point that I'm wrong in claiming that MrBeast ran afoul of 47 USC 509 because it doesn't apply to YouTube, and then says it may seem that way, but it's wildly out of context, and this is why people need lawyers. Then going on to talk about how someone in my comment section, a random person, is also wrong because they're from Canada and Canadian law is irrelevant. But dude, you missed the whole main point. His entire basis is that I'm wrong because 47 USC 509 doesn't apply to YouTube. But let me just read something from the video he's talking about. Quote, "Now, I know some people are going to make this distinction, and they should, but a YouTuber is not broadcast television." Later on, "I can't personally say at what specific point a creator who owns a media company that is 10 or 20 times larger and more successful than mainstream broadcast television networks becomes liable under those same rules, or if they ever even apply at all for that matter. But MrBeast appears to be completely disregarding the concept of game show integrity purely for the sake of making those game shows entertaining. Not good." End quote. Later on in that very same video again, quote, "It all boils down to a question. At what point does a YouTuber become so big they jump categories without voluntarily jumping categories? A random person in their basement making YouTube videos is not broadcast television. But when a multi-billion-dollar media company, because those are the numbers we're talking about here, is giving away millions of dollars in prizes or hosting dozens of live-streamed lotteries that seem to very blatantly violate the law, at what point does the media company become liable for the activity they're perpetrating?" End quote. Yeah, Legal Eagle very obviously just didn't watch or listen long enough to understand that I simply wasn't saying the thing he wanted to call me wrong for, and then clipped the one part that sorta made it sound like I was maybe making a definitive statement on that issue out of context, go figure, and threw it in. Why? I have no idea, but I do have suspicions. Early on, he has this part where he acknowledges, yeah, MrBeast probably ran afoul of sweepstakes law in certain jurisdictions, but he follows it up immediately by saying this was frankly pretty common on YouTube back in the day. But no, it wasn't, at least nowhere near that kind of scale. He's categorically wrong about that. And it's actually kind of crazy, in my opinion, that a lawyer is resorting to the, yeah, maybe it was illegal, but a lot of other people did it too defense as a main sticking point. MrBeast at the time had tens of millions of subscribers. He wasn't the single largest YouTuber back then, but he was growing the fastest of pretty much anyone out there except maybe PewDiePie and T-Series. His live streams were selling tens, probably more like hundreds of thousands of units total across all of them, earning many millions of dollars as he executed routine lottery giveaways to spike those numbers. Sure, there probably are a ton of instances where a creator gives away a single PS4 or an Xbox and fails to structure it properly, thereby technically running afoul of sweepstakes law. But MrBeast is on camera in one of those live streams commenting about how the entire city is sold out of PlayStations now because they're buying up and giving them all away in that stream. And then goes even further by insinuating, well, how are we supposed to sell merch now then, since they're sold out? The process of illegal lottery giveaways appears to have been mechanized by him in order to sell millions of dollars of merchandise, which is not a common thing on YouTube and cannot be defended by hand-waving it away as if other people do it too, so it's not a big deal. Honestly, I don't watch Legal Eagle. He has super high production value and seems well-reasoned, but that video was absolutely terrible. Anyway, I wasn't even going to respond to that. I was just going to leave it, but I had way more people than I would have expected directly in my DMs gloating about how Legal Eagle just destroyed you, when the reality is he just fundamentally misunderstood what I was saying. Internet content isn't governed by broadcast television laws, a fact that I said multiple times. The mediums are different, 100%. However, at what point does the new common medium with larger shows and bigger prizes and frequent infractions get regulated under some sort of similar framework? Maybe the same expanded framework, maybe a rewritten framework, I don't know. Never? Okay, cool. That's an answer, a shitty one. But I'm not wrong for asking the question of when does or when should that happen. His comment section is wild with the gloating about how I've fallen off and definitely do cast aspersions on him and I'm a terrible creator, which may be true. Can't speak to that. Too biased, obviously. But this ain't it. At least criticize me for something valid. Regardless, the final thing I want to talk about here is advertisers. This whole MrBeast drama has a lot of channels benefiting short-term, including mine, from heightened viewership, but that's not the full picture. In the past, there's been a number of instances where advertisers pulled back from the platform in general. The colloquial term is adpocalypse, and these happened for a number of different reasons, but the common theme is overall controversy. Example, in early 2019, a YouTuber named Matt's What It Is posted about a collection of videos about children that had suspect comments on them, and then campaigned to notify the advertisers that their ads might show up on videos where predators are using the comment sections. It was an incredibly small percentage of the overall content on YouTube, but it was there. Yeah, his campaign worked. There was a notable retraction in advertising dollars that took place. He seemed to be doing it all vindictively for some reason. But the effect is that when controversy gets big, especially involving children, it seems, pretty much every time, advertisers look at YouTube as a dangerous place to put their money because they don't know where it's going to show up. They don't want to risk having their name alongside certain channels and certain material, so they pull back. Also, YouTube is typically not the main advertising portal for most of these companies to begin with. I've talked to a few of them, so I know this for a fact. They spend only a small percentage of their overall budget on YouTube ads in the first place. 4, 5, 12%, right? Like small numbers. So when they're faced with a situation where the whole community is screaming about controversy and the largest YouTuber on the entire platform, who was generally thought of as extremely reputable up to this point, is accused of hiring and hiding sex offenders on their staff who then appear in videos on a child-targeted channel, I think that crosses into the realm of controversy where major advertisers might take notice. Think about that. Any platform would suffer, or does suffer, when the largest creator on that entire platform becomes a lightning rod of accusations over very serious issues. The largest creator of a platform, like it or not, intrinsically begins representing that platform in the minds of the audience and the advertisers. For a while, it was PewDiePie. Now it's MrBeast. He's the face of YouTube. And as MrBeast goes down in flames, a lot of companies who used to look at him as the gold standard of, oh, I could have my brand attached to him and make a ton of money, start to think, wait, if even he's not good, why would we ever use this platform? Who knows what the rest of those people are doing? It's not a guarantee, but it's well within the realm of possibility, and it makes me worried about what comes next. These things usually take months to process, except for when the advertisers are targeted directly, like in 2019. But this is also way larger than what happened in 2019. I can't say for sure what ultimately goes down, but the gold rush eventually migrates, and the land that they leave behind after mining is typically destroyed. It's not a perfect metaphor, but it does kind of fit here, because the larger the controversy gets, the more short term viewership people can harvest, but the larger it all gets, the more likely it is that advertisers look at the platform as a general risk that they don't want to participate in, meaning that the CPM that we have when it's all over might even tear down the profit everyone has made as it all happened, right? Like it's not a good cycle in general. I don't know, just a guess because I've been at this for like 8-ish years and seen a lot of cycles in the YouTube ecosystem, but this one seems bigger than the others in a bit of a scary way. I'm right there in it, don't get me wrong, okay? Like that's valid criticism of me that I'm like talking about this yet still perpetuating it. I'm not above any of it, I'm part of it. But it's making me wonder where it all goes and how hard it hits when the full story is completely played out. And I don't know. I'm just trying to observe all the different things with it and keep a rational mind. Anyway, that's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below: merch, social media, a special VPN deal, locals and Patreon, etc., etc. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, question everything, and have a nice night.